So what we're going to do here is we're going to, I just hit the record button again, we're going to talk about multisampling. And the first thing I'm going to do when we're talking about multisampling, I'm going to do this in Ableton Live, and I'm going to use Kontakt to multisample to show you how to do it. And I'm also going to use Sampler to show you how to use Sampler as well, just a little bit on Sampler. I'm not going to use Falcon in Pro Tools just because I'm not a fan. I think if you're really going to be serious about your sampling, use Ableton Live, use Kontakt. But I will show you in Sampler, even though I'm also not really a fan of Sampler. But so we're going to use the synth. Let me see if I can remember what the name of it is. There's a really good one for this kind of stuff. Obscurium. Here we go. Boom. This is a cool synth because it is it's very rhythmic. It's got some really neat sounds in here. Some really neat stuff in here. It's very rhythmic. There's lots of LFOs and envelopes and all sorts of stuff going on to affect things. So this is a really good synth to kind of record as a multisample. And the reason why we would record things as a multisample is to make things sound more natural. So let me just go ahead and do a recording of this real quick. What I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna turn on my metronome. Let's slow this down to about 90 BPMs. I'm going to go ahead and record this in. I'm going to record in a scale. Right, so, and I'm just putting this into a major scale. If you know what a major scale is, great. If you don't, whatever. Now, I didn't do a whole major scale here. What I did was I just did a few notes, so I'm just going to go ahead and fill in the dots here, fill in the rest of these. I'm going to do like 16 bar loop here, and each one of these is going to be two bars long. And the way I did this, just the easiest way to do a major scale is start on a C and just do all the white notes. Don't do any of the black notes. Just start on a C and do all the white notes until we get up to this next C up here. And we're going to use these notes to and then fill in the rest of them here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a 1 bar space between each one of these. So I'm just going to highlight all of them and put a 1 bar space. Put a 1 bar space, and I'm just using Shift to kind of deselect them after I put a 1 bar space. Boom, and I'm going to put the end over here 1 bar away. So now what we've got, if I hit play on this, go ahead and wait, hold on, let's make all these louder. There we go. And all these, I forgot to make them all 1 bar long. Let me just make them all 1 bar long. I'm going to fold them up so I'm not looking at too many different distractions on the screen, and so my notes are nice and fat here so I can grab them easily. And what I'm doing is I'm just kind of cleaning this up here so that everyone is exactly 2 bars long. I want everyone to be exactly 2 bars long here. And if I wanted to, I could also just hit the legato button here and then just kind of bring them back like that, which is probably the easiest way to do it. I want them all to be exactly the same length because I want all my samples to be exactly the same length. And if I just go ahead and here, let's hit play on this and listen to it, just not the whole thing, but listen to some of it. Hear how there's like a tail in the end? That's why I want to have space between each note. And the reason why I want to record multiple different notes here is because I want to be able to have it sound natural across each pitch in this one scale here. Now, if you want to do even more notes, what you could do is just take these and take them, I'm going to fold them like this, and I'm going to, let's duplicate the whole thing. Actually, let's duplicate to this. Here, let me delete this last one here, because we're going to do, let's do 2 bars, and I'm going to duplicate the whole thing, Command D. And the second one, or the first one rather, I'm going to put down the octave like this. I'm going to hold down Shift and hit my down arrow, and it puts it down the octave. And oh, I need one more note in there. Hold on. Put this. Move that over. There we go. Boom. And I need to make sure that I've got this set up correctly here. There we go. And I want to get that top C in there as well. All right, and this, you might, it might take some trial and error on your part here to get this totally right, but if I hit play now, yeah, I want those low notes because that's a pretty cool chord. Great. And you want to just make sure that you've got every single white note in here. If you really wanted to get crazy with it, you would do every single half note as well, every half step. So white key, black key, white key, black key, white key, black key. But we're not going to get that crazy right now because that's just would take too long to set everything up. So now, and let me just go back to the notes so we just have a look at what we're looking at here. So first of all, with multi-samples, be sure to capture all the samples you think you'll need. Record enough pitches, volume levels, playing styles, etc. So if you're recording like a piano or if you're recording a drum kit or something like that, make sure you get different velocities, different like loudness levels of things so you can put in velocities and stuff like that. It helps to make a list before you hit the studio. If you're recording these in a studio, it helps to make a list of what you need. After you record them, make sure you organize the samples, label them, put them in the proper folder on your hard drive. So what we are doing is we're recording the sample in live. Choose the sound you want to sample, select a 2 to 3 octave range to focus on. We're doing 2 octaves right now. Create a MIDI clip in the arrangement view, insert notes in 2 to 3 semitones apart and space them out so that there is no overlap of sound. So you want to make sure you space them out so the sound dies off between each note. Now I'm doing these in the session view here, not in the arrangement view. It doesn't really matter which view you're in. Maybe it helps to do them in the arrangement view, and then turn the MIDI clip into audio recorded onto another track, or freeze and flatten. I'm not going to record it onto another track right now. I'm going to go ahead and freeze and flatten just to make it the same. And I'm going to rename this before I freeze it and flatten. We're going to call this one Rhythm Synth. Rename it. Boom. So I've got these notes here, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to right click and go freeze. And then I'm going to right click it again and go flatten. Boop. Now you'll notice that when it does this, it actually created the loop twice. I'm going to go ahead and go back over here. Actually, let's keep it how it was. And I don't need it to be twice. So I'm going to grab my start point over here on the left, and I'm going to drag it over here to this halfway point right here, and just zoom in to make sure we're good. We are good. And I'm going to crop that. So now we just have the one loop here. So I've got this. Great, looking pretty good. And now what I'll do is I'm going to go ahead and name this. I'm going to name this one C. I don't know, C1. But it doesn't really matter what number you put on here, but I'm going to name this one C1. And I'm going to option drag it down. And I'm going to change the start point and the end point. I'm going to turn my loop off. Actually, let's do that on the first one here. Turn my loop. Let's put the loop. Let's leave it on, but I'm going to put it right there. It'll make life a little bit easier here in just a second if I leave it on. And now I'm going to pull this down. I'm going to move it over. I'm going to rename this one D1. And I'm going to go through and I'm going to do every single one like this. And this takes time. Creating multi-samples is not super difficult, but it is time consuming. C, D, E, F, G. And of course, you know, being able to name these things like this does mean that you understand music theory. And that's not what this class is about. This is not about understanding music theory. This is about multisampling stuff. So if you do not know music theory, my recommendation is go learn some music theory. Now we're going to get to C2 here. Cool. So it should be C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. D, E, F, G, A, B, C is what we should end up with. And I'm just naming the second octave here. And you'll notice that every time I make a new, every time I drag it down with option drag, it is making a new scene for me here. I don't have to make them by hand. I can just allow it to do it for me. I could also hit Command D to duplicate it real quick. Yeah, cool. That makes my life a little bit quicker. I'm just going through and doing each one. Boom. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Cool. And I'm just going to go through and double check these. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight all of them and I'm going to crop them all. I'm going to go right click and go crop samples. Now, actually, before I do that, what I might want to do is I might want to, maybe I shouldn't have taken out the rhythm synth. I'll just make it like that. I'm going to copy this and go through because you really want it to be labeled. Oops. You want it to be labeled very well. And what I'm doing is I'm just using my arrow keys to go down, and then I'm hitting paste. And because I copied the right amount of stuff in here, it makes it really easy to copy and paste the name in here like this. So I'm going to hold down Shift and click it, and I'm going to right click and go to crop clips. And now it's going to crop every single clip. And next what I want to do is I can go into my current project over here on the left and go to samples and processed and crop. And it's cropped all these clips in here. Or I can also see where they are on my hard drive. Now let's go ahead and save this session. I didn't save it first. I should have saved it. And let's save it. Multi-sample synth 2010 W12. Boom, there we go. I'm going to delete the original files out. Okay, so now I got our multi-sample synth, and I can go ahead, I can right click in here and I can go to Show in Finder right here, Show in Finder. And that's going to pull it up on my Mac Finder here. So I could now take this and put it into anything if I wanted to. I'm going to close that down though, because we're going to keep it in Ableton Live. I could now take it and put it into Pro Tools. I could put it in Logic or whatever, as long as I know where it is on my hard drive. But since we're going to just stay in Ableton Live for right now and use, let's do Kontakt first, because we already used that yesterday. I'm just going to open up my current project over here and go to my cropped files over here on the left, or I can even just drag them in right from here. So let's just do that. So first of all, since everything is nice and clean, I'm going to go ahead and grab Kontakt. There's my Kontakt here. I'm going to grab my VST, Kontakt. Yep, 6. Yep, cool. Grab that. Boop. So here's my Kontakt. I'm just going to drag it straight from here into here, and it automatically will just put it in here for me. And this is one of the great things about using Ableton Live. If I was using Logic or Pro Tools, I could not drag it straight in like that. Go in here, click on the wrench, and now I've got my synth in here. And if I play C3, play C3. That is my original pitch, but it is actually not. Let me see here. Why is that? Say C2. Hold on a second. That's not C2. That's C1. Okay. So the thing is, in here, this is not. Actually, I've got it labeled as C1 over here, so I want to make sure it's in the right place. So I'm just going to grab my yellow root key here and drag it down here to C1. So now I've got everything in the right place. Now the problem is, let me go ahead and adjust my release here. I don't want the release to be all long like that. Put my attack up a little bit. There we go. Cool. Now the problem is, if I move it around, you can hear how it gets faster and slower. Right? Which is kind of cool, and it's good for like if you want to use it to make some kind of, make it so it doesn't sound completely natural for this sound. You could totally just leave it like this and play it, and it still sounds cool. Right? But if I wanted to make sure it stays in the same tempo, the right tempo here, which in this case is 90 BPMs, well then what I would do is I can go over here to my, down here to my source and change this from DFD to Beat Machine Pro. Now, it keeps it at the same tempo no matter what key I press. The problem is, once I get way up top, it doesn't sound good anymore. Tone Machine Pro sounds really good within about an octave or so, but then after that it starts to degrade. So this is why we want to have all these little keys in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this into a multi-sampled synth. So I'm going to go ahead and grab this and drag it over like this. What I'm doing is I'm grabbing my key range. I'm going to grab this one and drag it back, so it's just one key like that, boom. Now I could also set my key range by clicking on this one right here, and this is going to lock into my MIDI note. Whatever I hit on my MIDI key, I click on that and I hit the low key and the high key, and now I just put it in as an octave. So one more time I click on this MIDI thing right here, and I hit the low key and the high key, and it creates a key range based on my low key and my high key. If I want it to be just one key, I just hit that key twice. There we go. Now I'm going to drag the second one in, my D1, and I'm going to show you something here. When I drag it in, if the more higher I mouse up, I haven't let go of it yet, the higher I mouse up, the wider of the key range it's going to be, and the more I mouse down, the lower it's going to be on just one note, and I can put it on that exact note. So if I'm making a sample like this, I can just drag it in each note, one note at a time, or I could also highlight a few of these and drag them in. I think, oh no, you can't do it from here. I could drag it in from a different place, and I'm just going to do one note here like this, boom, boom. And I'm just going to drag these all in, and what it's going to do, I'm just going to put them on the right notes here, and it's going to create the scale, and everything's going to sound perfect because it's all individual notes from that synth. So this 2-octave range for the synth, which is arguably probably about as much as you want from this synth, is going to sound perfect. So now it sounds great. Hear how amazing that sounds? Really nice. And what you want to make sure you do when you're playing something like this is you make sure, because remember we recorded the tail. So I don't want, if I'm letting it go for all 2 bars, I don't want to let go at the end. I actually want to play legato and overlap a little while so that tail comes through. Otherwise, it's gonna sound weird. Now, the problem is right now when I get to the black notes here, it doesn't have anything on the black notes. So I'd want to go in here and make sure that we get the black notes in here as well. So for each one, I can just click on it and hit the hit this one here and go to each one and put the black note in each one. And I'm just hitting 2 keys on my keyboard like that, and it allows me to easily do this. Now, this, in order to really kind of internalize this stuff, because there's a lot going on right now, and I recommend that you watch this video a couple of times. If this is something you're really interested in getting into, then you're gonna have to watch this video a couple of times. I'm gonna go ahead and keep the TM Pro turned on, because what that's gonna do is it's gonna make it so the note right above it is not gonna be faster or slower. So you can do some really cool stuff with it. And that's basically multi-sampling your synth. Let's just go ahead and take a look at the other ones here. So what do? We turn the MIDI into audio. First of all, we made the scale, then we turn the MIDI into audio, then we edited the new audio. We just created, cut each note start and end point so that there is no silence between each note. Highlight all the clips and crop them, right click and select crop clips. Select one clip, right click and show in Finder. Rename each audio file with the note number, or do that in here before you do all that stuff, which is what I would recommend. Actually import and set it up in Kontakt. And the way to set it up in Kontakt is going through and just putting each note onto its own key and making sure there's no gaps in the keys. And this is multi-sampling. Now, once again, I did it pretty quickly, and the reason why I'm doing it pretty quick is because this is a video that you can go back and watch. And if you're not part of the class or whatever, you can go watch it on the YouTube channel. If you don't know where that is, it's Make Beats New York on YouTube. But it's going to take a while to actually really understand this, like to really get good with it. Understanding it might not take that long, but really to get good with it, you're going to have to practice it. There's no way around that. Once I've got this in here, what I want to do is I want to save this. So I'm going to click on the disk and I'm going to go Save Multi-As. Click on this, and then we got some options in here. I'm going to go ahead and save it into, let's make a document over here and call this, actually let's make it on my external hard drive here. For John. Okay, yeah, we'll make it this one here. Well, actually, wait, which one? BFD, Steam. Yeah, this is the bigger, no, this is the smaller one. Okay, so we'll put it in this one here. And this one here, we'll make it into a new folder, and we'll call this one Kontakt Tony Instruments. So we'll call this one here, what was this? What was it named? I don't remember what the Obscurium Rhythm Synth 011. Now down here we have some options about how we're going to save it. The patch only, which means it's not going to save the samples. The patch and the samples, we can compress the samples if you want to compress them, and we can also create a monolith file, and we can tell it where to put the samples. And the default would just be putting it, I think, where it lives right here. Now, a monolith file, what this is it's creating a Kontakt file that also has the samples in it, which is probably the safest way to do this. but it's also, if you want to really have control over your samples or whatever, it's not the best way to do it for that. But what I would recommend, if you're just sampling synths like this, like we just did, I would actually create a monolith file, because it will make it easier to just keep everything organized later, because it's all going to be inside one thing. So I'm going to go ahead and hit save. I'm not going to compress the samples. I'm going to leave them uncompressed. So now it has everything in there. So if I go ahead and delete this Kontakt instrument and drag a new Kontakt in here, now I should be able to load up an instrument. I could probably even load my recent one here, yeah. But let's not do load that. Let's do load instrument. And here's my Obscurium synth. It just takes me right there. It's 42 megabytes, which is not too huge. Open it and replace the multi. Yes, I'm gonna replace it because I'm not doing anything with it. And now, there it is right there. So I've got this cool synth thing. Now, one thing is down here across the bottom, you see these keys are blue. That means that there's samples on these keys. It's just the default way of how Kontakt works. And if I go up here, you can see the keyboard. I can show different things. I can show my browser if I wanted to. I can show different stuff in here. And the one thing, I always keep my keyboard open down here because I have a large enough monitor so I can see it. If you're working on a laptop or something like that, you might want to hide this keyboard because it might just be too much going on. But you can also make it a little bit smaller like this as well. So that's basically how to create a multi-sample. There's a lot of moving parts to that. So you're might have to rewatch this video a couple times, but it's a great, I think it's a great way to kind of get into this, especially if you have like friends who have like a synthesizer and you want to sample that synth, and maybe you can borrow it for like a week or two and sample it, and then have those samples everywhere you go. Or if you are using stuff for a live set and you don't want to tax your computer's CPU by using an actual synth, then you can use the multi-sample like this. So let me just demonstrate what that looks like. I'm going to go ahead and make a synth here, and we're going to grab the Obscurium and drag this in here. Let's see how much processor power the Obscurium uses versus my sample that I just made. So here's the Obscurium. It's actually not using too much of my processor, so let's go ahead and see what this new sample that we used. It's pretty good. Cool, let's go back to the Obscurium here and play some notes. Oh, it's only monophonic anyway, so let's go ahead and turn this one into monophonic. And you might want to make these sound, similar to each other. Like what I could have done is I could have like actually turned off the sound. I could have turned off the delay in the chorus and the reverb and actually put that into Kontakt. And if I was thinking really straight and really considering how to do this for real, I would probably do it like that. I would go in here to my Kontakt and add in a delay and a reverb and that kind of stuff in there. I would also make sure this is set to mono legato here and monophonic. We don't need it to be polyphonic. Let's see here. Is there a good preset in here? Insert effects, insert, main effects. Where is it? Maybe over here into the group editor. I forget where this stuff lives. Instrument options. Nope. Mapping editor down here under the mods. I always forget where the monophonic part is. Amplifier. Preset. Let's see. Yeah, and I can't remember where it is right now. There's all these presets for stuff in here, and I always forget. Source. Yeah, because you actually have to add it in as a, oh, script edit. It's in here under scripts. That's where it is. So in the script editor, I'm going to go in here. I'm going to go to script. I'm going to go to factory, and I'm going to go to performance. Legato, no. Okay, unisono, portamento, maybe. Let's just go to utilities here and just see MIDI monitor, tuning, transform, sequencing, randomize, and change instrument specific. Yeah, I think it's this one here, portamento. Boom. So now, cool, note priority. Yep. So like this. Cool, and then mono mode, turn that on here. Yeah, and then you can have it, oh wait, I'm playing the wrong thing. Here we go, let's play this right thing. Let's see. Yeah, here I'm playing, there we go. Cool, yeah. And now it's playing legato mode. There we go. Cool. So that's how you can set that up. It's not like this part here is not super friendly, and I always forget because I don't really do this that often. But it is under the script editor here. You go to find the preset for portamento, and you can pull up different presets in here for each little script parts. So the max setting above the voice max should cancel polyphony as well. Let's see here. Where are you seeing? Oh, up here? Oh, yeah. Actually, yeah. So yeah, that'll do it too. If we turn the script off, that should do it. Let's see, it bypasses it. But it doesn't let you trill the notes. It just lets you. Yeah, it does cancel the polyphony, but what it doesn't allow you to do is it doesn't allow you to do a portamento, like a glide. And it also doesn't allow you to trill notes. It's like back and forth. So the portamento, what I'm talking about when I say glide, is we turn this up like this. Put on legato mode here. Hello. Oh wait, bypass. There we go. Turn that on. Turn this on here. Put this into legato. So now if I play this, I can glide the notes. Which is pretty cool, yeah. You definitely want to be able to mess with portamento. Keep it in auto, because what auto does is it means that if you have the set for legato here, and what's going to happen is it's only going to play. It's only going to do it when you're actually holding it down legato. And if I take my hand up and then re-strike the keyboard, it'll play it from the. It won't glide. Which is pretty cool. You can do some neat stuff. The time over here is how long it takes to get from the one pitch to the next. So if I turn that up, right, if I turn it down, it's faster. And then if you put it into relative mode, it depends on where you are, how close you are. Depends on where you are. So that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool stuff there. And then we can have unisono, which is voices, which is like a detuning thing. So I can go in here and now is not doing anything really. That's probably because I don't have enough samples in here. So I've never used Unisono in here, actually. I just know what it does in theory, but I've never used it in Kontakt. If you want to know more about Kontakt, if you want to go deeper into Kontakt, please read the manual, or I'm sure there's other YouTube channels that are more expert at Kontakt than I am. I'm like, I would say beginner, a high functioning beginner for Kontakt. I wouldn't call myself an expert, but I definitely know my way around things enough to kind of get in and play with stuff. But the expert level, and I would say even intermediate level, is like really crazy, and you can go and you can edit scripts. If we take a look at the script here, I click on edit down here, you're gonna see what's actually in here. It's code. And the reason why I don't call myself even intermediate with Kontakt is because I would guess that intermediate Kontakt, you'd probably have to know some scripting, which I don't know any scripting. So cool. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and stop that recording there.